Are you using any filters on your A cam or B and C cam for that matter? But are you the type of guy that uses a lot of filters?
In Dopesick, we use the traditional Pola, a little bit of a softening filter for some of our leading ladies, but very little, like an 8 or something, whatever it was, Glimmer Glass or Hollywood something. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
We did apply a chocolate filter made by Tiffin. Chocolate it's sort of in the vein of the sepia or the tobacco filters.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, but the chocolate filter, what it has is it takes everything and makes it a little warmer and browner. But the trick is, if you take the warmth out of it, it affects a lot the blue and the greens, just for opposition in the wheel of colors. If you push towards the green, it's less red. If you push towards the red, it's less green. So in that case, what happened is, when we were in the mining town, we added for most of the exteriors the chocolate 1 to all the cameras, including the FX3. And then in the color correction or in the dailies, in the DIT, we took the warmth out. So the blues were more vibrant and the greens, whatever greens was left in this town, were more vibrant.
That's interesting. So you put the filter on to sort of bring up the overall warmth, and then you strip the warmth away, and what was left was sort of this unusual kind of greenish blue tone that you wouldn't be able to really get otherwise.
You probably would in post. Like Stefan will sit in front of his Da Vinci and in 2 strokes will replicate it. But it also embeds in the negative and in the dailies and in the editorial process a feeling that otherwise you wouldn't. Because one of the other beautiful things and yet problematic things about the ability to turn everything into any color is that unless your dailies are very close of your final product, then the producer, the studio, and whoever and their grandmother that looks at the director's cut are going to get in love with this look. And then once you go into the color correction, you're going to change the look because you hated it as a DP. But they're going to say, no, oh my God, I love the way that looked. And you go, oh my God, that looked horrible because I wasn't able to change the color. So you have to be as precise as you can, that's my opinion, as cinematography in the early process. So everybody is in communion with the look. And then you make it better. And then you add grain or you add a vignette here and there, you make this darker or brighter. But generally speaking, if you were to look at the director's cut or the studio cut of episode 1 of Dopesick, you wouldn't believe it's a different movie. It's the same movie. After the color correction is much better, but it's the same sense.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it, then they get in love with this, with all due respect, CNN looking footage that you gave them, that it's flat and video-ish and etc. And they get in love with that. And then all of a sudden you want to make The Godfather and they say, no, it's too dark.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think one that all of us here can relate to, whether you're working on a large project like Dopesick or just your own even small corporate projects. People fall in love with what they are seeing either on set or in the first draft. Like, how important is it when you, and this isn't a problem you have to deal with, but stuff that we have to do with corporate and commercial work, is draft 1 is so important because that's the first impression. And people tend to either hate it or fall in love with it. And then no matter which direction you go, it always looks different. And you're sort of like, the people that hated it are happy and the people that loved it are unhappy. So that first draft is so important.
Most of our viewers the viewers probably are younger than, I'm going to use there used to be a thing called the Avid is where you edit, but there used to be a thing that goes to AVR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which was resolution in the Avid. So depending on how big your memory was, that used to be the size of a closet, now it's the size of a I don't know, an iPhone, but it used to be the size of a closet. If you didn't have that, you needed to lower the resolution. It was AVR 1 and 2 and thing. And everything was solarized and the colors were horrible and everything was jiggery. So you would edit in AVR whatever, and then they would sit in the projection and they look at it and it's like, oh, I really like the orange that I saw before. And I'm like, the orange was a subproduct of a shitty memory you had in your closet. I didn't decide it should be orange. I love the softness of it. I'm like, no, that wasn't softness. It was lack of definition, So it's extraordinarily important no matter what you do. Even if you take a picture of your cousin's wedding, go into your computer iPhone and touch a little bit the colors and send it that way, because that's the way you as a cinematographer, as a photographer wants it to be, as opposed to, the algorithm that decides how it should look.